All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Levi with Mailbox Money. Today's guest is Matt Miale, CEO of the Miale Team at Keller Williams, one of the Northeast's top performing real estate organizations with more than 1 billion in career sales. Matt, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Love the podcast. Love what you're doing. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, sir. Before we started and record on this bad boy, when I found out you're in the Northeast section, I had asked if you were from Cali originally because you got that photo of the beach, you got your surf Maui. Why don't you
Yeah.
give people some personal background on
Yeah,
yourself,
I'm a
bud?
walking I'm a walking contradiction. I'm a northeastern dude in Connecticut with no shoreline with any waves, wearing a hat that says Surf Maui and a VW bus on a beach behind me. So, um, yeah, I've had a pretty varied and kind of interesting and pretty cool career at this point. All culminating with starting the real estate business here in Connecticut in 2006, and launching into the real estate team in 2010. Interestingly enough, I know you guys have a background in apartments. That was actually my entry into real estate. Was in 2003. I had been working in national advertising since I graduated college in '98 for about 5, 6 years. And I was hired as a director of national sales at a pretty young age for that type of a role for a
Yeah, no
real
kidding.
estate publishing company. They published these free digest sized magazines. And this, you have to remember, guys, this is all pre Zillow, pre internet. There were no online listing platforms. So people that wanted to buy houses back in 2003, they went to paper solutions. And a lot of those solutions were magazines. And this company that I worked for, which was called Network Communications, was based out of Atlanta, Georgia. They hired me in this director of sales role to go and sell remnant inventory in the 700 markets that they published these free magazines for. And so I had a really cool job in a really unique industry, and it was my introduction to real estate. I didn't know anything about real estate. My father was a New York City firefighter. My mother worked for the state of Connecticut in the mental health services. So we were like civil service worker. That's kind of my background, civic responsibility, duty to the community. So I had this kind of like big heart, big service, but I wanted to make more money than that. That was like the outcome. And so I
Fair.
wound up in sales, in advertising. And then I get introduced to this like real estate thing, which is, property ownership. And I get introduced through the magazine. What I discovered quickly was that this felt like the best kept secret in America at the time, was that real estate ownership and a path to wealth building through this model of borrowing money to buy property and then rent it out. I couldn't understand why everybody wasn't doing it. Now, granted, I still have to give you guys some time frame. This is 2003, 2004, 2005. They were basically giving money away, right? So
Yeah.
like a lot of people at that point that was aggressive, young, and ambitious, went and massively over leveraged myself, went from 2004 to 2008 and acquired 42 apartments in that a very rapid period of time with virtually, it wasn't no equity, but virtually no equity. I had a
Man, you hit it hard.
That's just how I operate, man. Right. So like I just virtually no equity. I put basically my entire life savings, which to that point I was in my late 20s, 29 years old. I had maybe 400,000, $500,000, all of which I dispersed throughout all the properties that I owned. And then I just kept buying and buying and buying. And I kept just improving on how do we manage the properties? How do we create better experience for the tenant? How do we create better inbound funnels, raise rents? And we were crushing. It was so good. And then
And
Enron,
then,
then Enron, mortgages get called in. I mean, the fucking wheels fall off the bus. Sorry, we swear in the Northeast. I know you guys are in the Midwest.
that's all right. That's all right.
Just the wheels fall off the bus. And so, like, first and foremost, there's no successful entrepreneur that doesn't love to tell the story about when they crashed and burned and skidded hard off the road. And that was my first real hard chapter where, virtually lost everything. Managed to get out of all of that without having any foreclosure or short sale
Nice.
because I had been buying long enough that I was able to reverse engineer. I was able to
Bring it
basically
all
take the
back.
good assets and pay. And so, but at the end of it, from 2000, three through 2008, I bought them. From 2008 to 2012, I got rid of them all. And by, 2013, I was basically back where I started. So a solid 10-year chapter of no progress, highs and lows, heartbreak and misery. However, this really cool thing happened along the way, which was because I had been in corporate advertising sales. And then I got into real estate because I thought I found a path to wealth for just a normal dude like me, with kind of a blue collar background, fireman father, built decks in the summer, construction kind of stuff. I thought, okay, this is a way for me to do it. But along the way, I got a real estate license. And that was in 2006. And I did that because I thought, well, it makes sense for me to just be able to get access to the MLS and do my own deals. And I
Yeah.
don't really need a real estate agent to help me with that. But then something else magically happened, which was through the course of the ups and downs of building the portfolio, losing the portfolio, I found out that I was pretty darn good at helping people. And I discovered that if I wasn't really just in it chasing the dollars, but I was really just trying to solve problems for people. And by the way, in our market, like everywhere, we had a massive amount of short sales, pre-foreclosures. We had people in real jeopardy and real trouble. And I
Hmm.
showed up with a fireman's heart and a mental health services worker's temperament, and sat at a lot of people's kitchen tables while they were losing their family assets because they were getting foreclosed on, and help them navigate some of the most difficult situations that they were going through from 2009 through 2012 and 13, and created a business that was kind of an accidental outcome. It didn't do it on purpose. It was just me trying to solve the problem of the property management business is not making what it needs to make. The market's careening off a cliff. There's all these people that need my help, and I just happen to have a skill set that can help them. And so I kind of picked my head up one day around 2012 or 13 and realized that I was making several $100,000 a year in real estate commission income by serving people who had a need that I was capable of helping them with. And there was a whole
That's a
bunch of
nice accident to walk
yeah, I
into.
was pretty lucky, dude. Again, that doesn't mean that I was doing everything well. I just was able, like we weren't, I wouldn't call that chapter of my life wild success yet because I was spending more money than I needed to and doing things, we had a long way to go, but what I realized was like the process of building a company, the process of building whether it's a real estate business or any business always starts with the people that you serve, and that when you do that right enough, the product that you deliver can continue to get better. And then people decide they want to come along with you. And so I'll fast forward to today. We're a team of about 50 full-time real estate agents across 4 states: Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, and Rhode Island. We sell between 500 and 600 homes a year. That's about 160 to 180 million dollars in volume. And from a revenue standpoint, that's like a $5-6 million business for us. So that all came as a byproduct of accidentally falling backwards into a terrible situation on my own and needing to go make a buck. So
Hmm.
the messaging for me is always that where I'm at today at 51 years old, looking at that history and saying, hey, every time you're faced with the challenge, you're probably just opening the door to the next big opportunity.
Yeah, that's man, there's a lot to unpack in there. I think I'd like to just recap it all by saying you found a big solving a problem, turned it into a business, and success came from that, right?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you are the leader now. What was that transition like from the boots on the ground guy,
It's an
selling
everyday, it's
every,
still an
yeah.
everyday struggle, man. Like, I do like it is interesting because there's no leadership is a responsibility, not a reward. And so when you do take on the mission of building something bigger than yourself, whether you're a carpenter that's a practitioner or a plumber or a real estate agent or you're running an apartment building, when you decide that someone else's life and their vision and their goal for what they want is going to be a product or a byproduct of what you're creating, you have to take a very serious look in the mirror and decide, are you the person that's willing to put their needs above yours? And I think a lot of leadership is much uglier and dirtier and harder than people ever realize. I feel what I tell people often is if I was more sentimental, I would feel like a miserable failure every day rather than a wild success, because the truth is most of what I have to deal with on an everyday basis is someone else's problem. And if I were to self-reflect and say, wow, all these problems are my problems, I'd probably be a pretty miserable person. But what I see every one of those as opportunities, like each one of those is a place where I'm getting a little better and I'm creating an opportunity for that person to get a little bit better. And we're engaging the world in a way that's fulfilling, as long as we're engaging the world in a way that's fulfilling, as long as we're doing things that we're, that give us some joy and some fulfillment, then we're on a path toward, the end game anyway, is everybody's going to wind up dead. So you may as well figure out how to fill the space with stuff that you enjoy doing. So I don't know. At some point in my life, I was gifted with the ability to be good at listening to people and helping them figure out what it is they want, and then help them get there. So yeah, the transition's not easy, man. It's never easy. It's still not easy. To this day, there are days where I say like, wow, it would be a lot easier if I just went out and sold a bunch of houses than solve the problems for the people that are trying to sell the bunch of houses. But I don't know, it would be unfulfilling, I think, for me. I think at this point I've sold 3,500 homes. There's that process isn't as exciting as it used to be.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean I don't still like really enjoy the win, because I'm a competitor, and so if I can get two in the hoop, like for sure, I'm down. But it's like the real victory for me is watching someone else have a breakthrough and win and
That's
get
a
to a
very
level.
healthy way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's
It's
you be
awesome.
by the way, it's the only way. If there's anybody listening to this that's contemplating, leadership as a path, what you've really got to confront is it is not the thing. Like, it's not the podcast. Like, this is what the people see. They're like, "Oh, I want to be on podcasts and on stage and telling
This is
people
all
how
you
to
do
live
all
their."
day, right?
It's like, dude, the in between this, like, we get to do this for 20 minutes today. Yeah, the other 9 hours and 40 minutes of my workday is just
Yeah.
fighting fires, like solving problems. And you can get the 20 minutes on the podcast, but you got to earn it by putting the reps in at dealing with the stuff.
Well, not to mention, you said only obviously 9 hours and whatever minutes you said is still longer than the traditional 8 hour workday, but
Correct.
all 24 hours of the clock as the leader and owner, you're on the hook though, all 24 hours, right?
Totally. Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard the joke before that an entrepreneur is the only person that will work 80 hours a week just so they don't have to work 40.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you tell me to come to work 9 to 5? I'll start my own thing and work twice as long. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah,
Oh boy.
no question.
Matt, I saw you have a thing called the production playbook. You want to
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about that and what's going
yeah.
on
So
there?
we have a model that well, let me start with the basics. So, the real estate team business is very different than the real estate brokerage business. And so this is like kind of insider talk for people that are in and around real estate. But what's important to understand is that a real estate brokerage is a company that holds your license, offers you some value in exchange for holding your license, sets compensation rates, and decides what part of the value that they give you for what split you're going to pay to them. So the real estate team space is a very different space. It sits kind of in between the individual agent and the broker, because as a real estate team, I'm actually a contract for hire by my partners. Now, the people that are on my team, those 50 agents that have hired me, they hire me basically for real estate agent service. They are coming to me saying, okay, Matt, you have a set of values and tools, systems, and models that you make available to me if I'm on your team. And in exchange for that, we're going to be partners on all the transactions. And the terms of those partnerships vary widely from one team to another. Part of it is an economic exchange of value. Part of it is whose name goes on the sign. Part of it is who pays for the leads, who doesn't pay for the leads. And every team is different. But the production playbook is really the foundation behind what the Miale team value proposition is. And I'll summarize it like this. What makes our agents different in the marketplace is that, number one, the outcome. The average agent on the Miale team sells, on average, in a year, 6 times the national average of the average solo agent. Now, the average solo agent in this country sells 3 homes if they're producing. 60% of agents sell zero. So the average
Wow.
agent on our team is selling between 25 and 35 homes a year on average. We have agents that far surpass that. We have agents that are below that, but the average agent's doing, that as their production. The thing that we've gotten really, really good at is bringing people in and getting them to that level really rapidly. And we do that through a series of tools, models, accountability systems, structure, but more important than that, it's through a methodology and a belief system. And the belief system is really what the production playbook is. The production playbook speaks to what it means to be on a team where the culture of the team is production. And so culture is one of those words when you're inside of a company that gets thrown around a lot. Oh, we're family oriented, we support each other, all that kind of stuff. The reality is, if you're in a sales organization, if you're in a production based business like real estate is, you have to
Hmm.
put production at the top of the funnel. If there's no production, then what does the culture feel like? Garbage.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to go to a family barbecue where everybody's broke and complaining about not paying their bills, right? So we start with the premise that the culture of our team is production. And so the production playbook are the principles by which we measure that. And that is really the core foundation of who we believe we are. Behind the production playbook is a litany of things and systems and belief systems that we adhere to. Um, and so that's ultimately going to be we are in the final phases of releasing the book. It's a 12 chapter book that's got the 12
Nice.
principles behind the production playbook. I should have that in distribution by fourth quarter, which I'm pretty excited about.
Where would people be able to find that?
I imagine in every place that you'd find any other book, based on where the distributor puts it, right? So Amazon, Barnes and
Good.
Noble, all
Okay.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Perfect. Easy to
Mhm.
find
Easy
type
to find.
deals.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep.
Very cool. That's
Yeah.
exciting stuff, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's exciting. Again, you get to a certain point in your life and you have this body of work that has made a difference for a lot of people. I mean, over the course of my career, I've probably trained and led over 100 real estate agents to achieve higher levels of success than they would have, without me as their partner, which is really that's the fulfilling part for me. Obviously, it's also really fun to have a successful business that's led us to start other businesses.
Hmm.
Really exciting thing that we're in the early phases of launching is in the last 3 years, we designed and built a training program called Agent Production Academy. And basically, we took the bare fundamentals of what it means to be a highly productive real estate agent. And then we put those into an 8 week format with an everyday cadence that trains and teaches something of value to a real estate agent every single day with
Good.
an accountability outcome where the agent has to actually perform in order to get to the next thing. We've rolled that out. We're actually going to be teaching this. The 14th session starts on August 10th. And we're moving Agent Production Academy into a national platform opportunity for other real estate teams to bring to their market. So, Agent Production Academy is really, really exciting. Something that I've done in partnership with several other people that I've worked with, other real estate team leads. The outcome there is the average agent coming into that program is coming out the other end of the 8 weeks with 10 pieces of business that they did not have in the beginning. So an
Wow.
agent that's out there listening to this, or if you know a real estate agent that's listening to this, you should send them to mattmiale.com. And if you go on to mattmiale.com, you can get information about Agent Production Academy. And we can tee you up for one of the sessions that might be coming into your market because what we really know is that real estate is a very simple business. It's not a complicated business. Most of what happens in the industry is agents are given shiny objects and bells and whistles that promise an outcome that is not likely to be delivered unless they go do the work. And so what we've done is really, again, strip down the noise and get down to the basics that can deliver a guaranteed outcome. It's just been fun to watch that over the last 3 years come to fruition. And we've put 75 agents through that program.
Wow.
And so we've got a track record of success. We've got agents now that are on our team that are selling 35 homes that went through that program 2 years ago. So, it's intense, not gonna lie. Like I tongue in cheek said what I wanted to create was the Navy SEAL training of the real estate industry. I did not want to just do another basic training because there's a lot of basic. I wanted to
Yep.
level it up and say, hey, look, there's a reality to this business. 85% of people that get in are going to be out of the business within the first 3 years because their runway's not long enough. They don't have the skills, habits, they don't have the capacity to produce at the level that they need to. So if I can provide the level of training that actually kicks them off to a high level of success, then I wanted to be a part of that. So that's what we're doing.
Amazing. I kind of got a two-part question to wrap things up. Going back to, you opened this up talking about your younger self, maybe getting ambitious, over leveraging a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think that Matt at that time would have ever thought he's selling courses, he's writing books? And
Um,
then also to finish it out, what after you give that answer is what kind of piece of advice, if you were talking to your younger self today, would you give?
it's a weird experience to turn 50, dude. That's the truth. Like there's something very interesting about hitting a point in life. It'll happen to you. You're younger than that, but there's something
Just
really
hit
interesting.
31 yesterday. That
Congratulations.
felt
Happy
even a
birthday.
little weird. Thank
It's
you.
yeah, that one's weird, right? But you're still young. Like there's something really interesting about getting to this part of your life where you can see the end is closer than the beginning. And so I'm gonna kind of jump into the deep end of the pool here. Um,
I would expect nothing less from the limited time I've met you.
I wouldn't change anything. Um, I don't think that nearly I don't think that I had nearly enough knowledge 20 years ago to understand what you're actually capable of in a lifetime. And so where I sit today, I do feel I'm incredibly proud of what we've built. And I realized that and again, I wouldn't change anything, but had I had the wisdom, which by the way, you can only get wisdom through experience. Wisdom is not intelligence. Wisdom comes from mistakes and learning and exercise and getting out into the muck of it. But if I had the wisdom then that I have now, um, I'd I would have treated things differently. I would not have been so. I spent the better part of my early life very angsty and stressed out and driving drive, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And I think that what I realized is that the real meaning, the real takeaway for life is not how much money you get and not how successful you are, or how many podcasts you get invited to, but it's the quality time you get to spend with the people you love. And if you are spending time with them, but not with them, not present, you will wake up one day and your kids will go to college. You will wake up one day and those days will be gone. And they are way more valuable than any deal or any opportunity. And that is the stuff. Like that's the real stuff. So I think that I would not change anything, but I would, if I could sit with myself 20 years ago today, I would say, hey, dude, you're going to be fine. You're going to win at lots of things. Be right where you are, stay where your feet are, because your life is happening. Whether you want it to or not, it's happening. You cannot live for when you're going to be 50. Live for 31. Live for 31 because it's a great year. 31 will be great, 32 will be great, 33 will be great. They'll all have wonderful lessons to give you. So I think that's what I would leave people with is that if you can find a way to put people at the middle of what you do and be present with the life that you're living and joyful about it and grateful with it, it's gonna be wildly rewarding.
Amazing. Matt, one more time, would you mind giving everyone where they can kind of find and follow your team and if they want to learn or be a part of anything that you guys are doing, where they would find, sir?
Absolutely. So mattmiale.com is my personal website. I offer, if you're interested in learning more about any of the things that I've talked about, you can go on there. You can sign up for a 20-minute consultation with me personally. There's no cost to that. And we can line you up with some of the opportunities. I do private and personal consulting for real estate businesses. particularly real estate teams, sometimes agents that want to start teams. You can follow me on Instagram, which is probably the best place to get, snippets of what we do. We take recordings of every meeting that we do, leadership trainings, things like that, and we put a lot of content out. That's Matt Miale Team at Matt Miale Team. If you go there, you'll see lots of that content. The Miale Team on Instagram for sure. The Miale Team on YouTube. Those are all places where you can go and find content. Obviously, if you find any one of them, you're going to wind up finding them all because they're all linked together, and it's like a big
That's
spider
how it
web.
works
Yeah,
nowadays,
once we
right?
get it, once we get a hold of you, we'll make sure we find a way to get you into everything else. But I would tell you that, Agent Production Academy, we're launching August 10th. We'll be bringing that to multiple markets around the country. If you are a team lead or a real estate agent or on a team and you're interested in learning more about getting that in your market, you could reach out to me directly off of mattmiale.com. Just sign up for an inquiry.
Perfect. Sounds pretty easy to get a hold of you. Amazing, Matt. We appreciate you giving all your experiences and stories and taking time out of your day to be with us.
Awesome.
We appreciate it, sir.
Been a real pleasure, Levi. Thank you, sir.
Of course. And thanks everyone for listening. See you guys on the next one.